Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Happy Tuesday. I hope you are ready for some pro wrestling punditry because we are going to slam it into your ear holes here harder than Nia Jax slammed Charlotte Flair into the mat last night on Raw, which is, to be fair, really hard, EJ. That's pretty stiff.
Pretty stiff, man. That was you know what's funny? I was watching it and all I yelled was, Molly Wop!
That was a good old-fashioned mukbang of fists right there last night, right?
Buddy,
yeah.
I was scared for Charlotte. I think she was here. We're going to talk about it later. But
we are. We're gonna talk about it later. I had to make the joke. It came to me in that moment. But yeah, Charlotte and Nia threw down. We'll throw down here in a little bit about their throwdown. We got a great show. Obviously, EJ's in the house here today. EJ, we always talk about how you should eat a bagel, right? At the end of the show, giving advice to people. Dude, I got to show this thing off. Look at this bagel sandwich.
Oh.
I had this 10 minutes before we went live here today. That is 6 strips of bacon, 2 eggs, diced tomatoes in the eggs, pepper jack cheese. That's a cinnamon raisin bagel that I have put some sriracha sauce on. So it has a kind of sweet and spicy flavor to it. That's
sweet heat.
Oh, that's some sweet heat right there, right? Oh, my God. I feel like $1 million because of that bagel sandwich. I had to show it off.
Oh, man. You don't want to nap after that? That would put me right back down.
Nah, dude. I am fed. I have my coffee here. I have my water. We got some big news to talk about, and I don't know why I'm wasting any time talking about this bagel because we have one of the biggest guests we've had in some time here on the Daily, and we've been fortunate to have some really big guests recently. But WWE Hall of Famer, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, in the house here today. It is true. It is damn true. He has a brand new sneaker that is out that we're going to talk about here today. But also, we talk AEW, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, all the stuff that you guys are going to want to hear Kurt Angle's take on are in this interview here today. So look forward to that in your audio feed if you're listening to us in audio form. And if you're watching us in video form, that conversation I have with Kurt is going to debut here at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 55 minutes from right now. So go jump in that chat room, watch me, or watch me. It's actually just a photo of Kurt because it was a phone call, but you can see video of me as I talk to Kurt. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Anyway, Kurt Angle on the show here later. And at the end of the show, for everybody, we will dive into the mailbag. We're going to look at who you would like to see a heel Keith Lee feud with when he returns to Raw. A heel Keith Lee. Of course, our chat room is open across all the platforms. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever we're at. As El Pomp is saying, are we live? We're live, pal.
Yep. We're live, baby.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it live. Also here, let's see. What were some? We had Rampage V1. Thanks, I'm starving now. Headlock heel. Everything bagels are the best. I'm sorry. Daniel Price, cinnamon and raisins with bacon. The hell is wrong with you?
Daniel, that's the move. That's the move, buddy.
I have an eclectic palate, Daniel. Okay. All right. Anyway, we should get to it. Let's get to it. We got news. News you can use. News that will leave a bruise, as we say here. Adam Cole, PW Insider, saying that WWE officials issued an internal memo yesterday advising that Adam Cole is no longer with the company. It was sent in the morning. It was sent by email. Adam Cole is free to sign with any promotion he wants, and it is possible that he and WWE do agree to a new deal. Fightful throwing in that WWE sources do expect for Adam Cole to field various offers from other companies. But this is big, man, and this is a big week for AEW. All Out live on pay-per-view this Sunday. Rampage, Dynamite, both in Chicago as well. EJ, what's your reaction to the Adam Cole becoming a free agent here news?
I mean, it's been the talks for so long. I think he's going to move on. I could feel that and see that. It makes sense. We've talked about this months ago with Brody Lee passing. You saw a lot of Adam Cole backstage at AEW hanging out and with his friends. And I think all things considering, I think more people that are afforded the freedom would rather work with their friends and have fun than just work for the man because they're supposed to and they make a lot of money and it's the WWE, the system. I think
Right.
more people are choosing happiness, and I think AEW is spelling happiness for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I get that vibe too. AEW certainly, it is a tight knit group, but it is becoming more obvious to me too that like if you're not in that tight knit top group in AEW, there's a lot of floundering going on as well over in AEW at the moment as well. Now it is extremely compelling to think about how this Sunday on pay-per-view we could see CM Punk have his first match in 7-8 years. We could see Daniel Bryan arrive. And I mean, could we also see Adam Cole? If the reports that there's a genuine concern about COVID-19 shutting down more shows or impacting the day-to-day business again, like we went through kind of last year around this time. Maybe you do want to get all these guys through the door right now in front of a crowd, right? I mean, maybe now is the time to, get these guys in the mix while you can still get those reactions. I still think to myself, what's it going to look like if Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Adam Cole are all down at Daly's place performing in front of no fans here in 3 months. But for the time being, it's a really intriguing, interesting, fun time, obviously,
Yeah, and I mean, he's in that inner circle. Who is he married to again? I think Adam Cole is married.
I think his girlfriend is Britt Baker. I don't know that they're married.
Oh, I assumed they were married. Huh.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but they are together. Yeah. Girlfriend over at AEW, friends over at AEW, Big Money, Tony Khan over at AEW. I mean, if you have an Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk kind of trifecta there, I mean, best workers in the world, you can kind of pair them off with different people. Obviously, that does reshuffle the deck a bit for who is going to be able to be seen in that main event picture, right? If these three guys come in and all of a sudden take three of the top 5 single spots in the company, I guess we'll cross those bridges as we come to them, though.
Yeah, I think the excitement is getting them and hopefully using them in the right way instead of having them like WWE will and they're in catering.
Yeah. Let's get to some chats here. Bobby Burns, who let the 4-year-old on the show, never mind, Hausman, shaved, FFS. It's weird to say out loud. I only read it. I don't think I've ever said that out loud. Cole to AEW, imminent. Watch Braveheart. Freedom is important. It's true. It's true. Hausman approved Braveheart. It's great. It's true.
Freedom!
It is all about freedom. King Rail, happiness is so overrated. Show me the money. I mean, even if you take the money at WWE, King Rail, who's to say they won't take it back? It seems, I mean, Braun Strowman had a sweet deal. He's about to show up at Impact Wrestling. It sounds like, is the big money in the short term better than what could be big money maybe over a longer term, right? More stable working environment. One thing that Tony Khan has really hung his hat on in some of the interviews he's done recently is how, unlike WWE through the pandemic, they haven't released anybody, right? There have been very few releases. I know of at least one release, but very, very few releases from AEW over the pandemic. And knowing that is something that the company really values certainly adds value, I'm sure, to the person who's doing the negotiating, trying to wonder where's the most consistent money-making place that I can go to work with next, right?
Yeah. And who's to say? I mean, he might have saved. I'm sure he's doing well, and he did well while he was in NXT. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's at a point now where he can ask, all right, do I want to keep doing this iteration of this, knowing that he's probably not going to be the top guy on NXT anymore because that's shuffling around and moving. So I think it's time.
Well, and Antonio Garcia here saying if he wasn't going to the main roster, it's time for him to move on. And even if he did have a main roster offer out there, which it sounds like he may have, right? It sounds like he had this like one-on-one meeting with Vince McMahon like 2 weeks ago at SmackDown, and like Vince was really won over by this blue chipper or whatever it was, right? There are very few cases of people transitioning from NXT to the main roster that have gone smoothly and successfully, right? I think, and in some cases, they've gone smoothly but not successfully, and other times maybe successfully but not smoothly. Very few times successfully and smoothly. The only one I can point to recently is Matt Riddle, and why Riddle has been able to make that leap as well as he has is actually something Kurt Angle kind of talks about in our interview later. But you look at a whole field of other people, Karrion Kross, who is now Russell Crowe, right, from Gladiator or something like that. And Keith Lee, who is a natural babyface, but in the mailbag here today, we're going to talk about what do you do with big monster bad guy Keith Lee, right? Mm-hmm. You know, money's not a guarantee. The creative's not a guarantee. You're going to Tony Khan has final say in creative over at AEW, but it does sound like more and more this creative input kind of clause or condition is being bandied about more. So, you know, having a boss you can work with and make money from, pretty damn enticing option right now for, I'm sure, a lot of WWE performers.
Yeah, especially when your boss isn't 70-something years old. Mm-hmm. I don't
know. Yeah. Let's see. And we'll do one more here. This one's from Neftali Rodriguez. If everybody's going to AEW, all the ones that are there from the beginning that they are not used are going to go when the contracts come up. It is inevitable. And Neftali, you know, hit the nail on the head here, right? And we don't know how long this pandemic is going to go, right? I mean, it seems like we're geared up for round 2 or 3. I'm kind of losing track at this point. And how long can Tony Khan retain all of these people? I mean, he's a billionaire, right? But this is we're starting to talk some bigger money contracts here. Punk and Bryan and maybe Adam Cole. Where's Bray Wyatt at? That kind of stuff. I'm with you, Neftali. At some point, I would think we're going to see some talent start to be released from the company. Max Caster is going to... Did you know this? Max Caster is doing a concert at the Bottom Lounge on Thursday night?
No, I didn't.
I kind of want to go to it. Like,
you said when? This Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday.
What time?
I don't know. I have to find out. But Thursday night, Max Caster is playing the Bottom Lounge. And if there was ever a guy that had, you know, you could just say, because he seems unhappy. He seems very unhappy. He's selling his gear over on eBay, right? He's somebody you could let go right now. Why they're keeping him and treating him the way they have is a very interesting story for me. You know, that seems like a guy that you could, if you wanted to, let go, but for whatever reason, they're not, right? Yeah, dude, I kind of want to go to that Bottom Lounge show. I kind of want to hear what this guy has to say on a live microphone right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too far from me. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's that, like, and maybe this is where we differentiate Vince and Tony Khan. Maybe Tony Khan is such a younger, newer person. He's like, I don't want to upset anybody. Right. So just keep everybody on. I got the money. I'm with the boys. It's cool. But at some point, he's going to have to be a businessman and put on his business pants. Yeah. And be like, all right, cool. Here are the numbers. We do have to do this. Unless they find an ethical way to do it.
And look, you know, we're not inside their model. I don't know exactly what moving pieces are there. I am confused when it seems like there's somebody like Max that you could amicably part ways with, right? And he can move on and do his thing. He obviously doesn't want to be there. You obviously don't want to use him right now. But for all these other people, yeah, you know, a time will come when we're gonna see some people have to leave AEW. It's an inevitability, and I do wonder what that looks like. B-Wo here, Brian Wool, my co-host tomorrow here, by the way, saying somebody has got to get to that Max Caster concert and report what happens. I'm with you, B-Wo. Oh, here we go. Rob Humphrey, thank you all. 10 p.m. at the Bottom Lounge, $20 tickets. Thursday, 10 p.m. That's kind of late. Liz will actually probably want to be in bed by then. Maybe I can sneak out on Thursday night.
Oh, wow. I'm over here like, yeah, that's after my show. I should be able to make it. You're like, I'm in bed.
No, well, I usually am in bed by about 10:30 anymore. But anyway, like I'd be down. Maybe we'll talk. What time is your show? Your show's at 8?
7.
Oh, 7? Oh, you might actually have time to get there then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, Max, we might be in the house on Thursday night. I'm interested, man. I want to know this guy's story. I want to know why he's so upset. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I got questions. I'm not like he's going to give me an interview or anything like that, but I'd be interested to hear what he's saying on a live microphone, right?
Yeah, be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, man. Okay. So in the world of WWE, they added some people here before we get to Raw. WWE has announced a new class of performance center recruits that have officially reported to Orlando to begin training for the company. The class includes 2 second-generation wrestlers, Joseph Fatu, the son of WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi, and younger brother to SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. He is signed with the company. That is not Jacob Fatu. for everybody. I've had that a couple people ask me this. It's a different brother or different Anawahi. It's a brother of anyway. It's very confusing. I understand. Ben Buchanan, son of WWE, the son of former WWE champion Bull Buchanan, tag team champion Bull Buchanan, also signed with the company. Bobby Stevenson, also in the class of recruits. He's the older brother to WWE prospect and Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson. The new class also includes Joshua Dawkins. He was trained by Devon Dudley, nephew of NBA legend Daryl Dawkins, plus Jessica Walenko, a member of the 2016 United States National Gymnastics team, and Brady Booker, a former football player for the University of South Dakota. So no independent talent here. We have a bunch of legacy talent. Joseph has done a little indie stuff. And then, so we have half legacy talent and half thoroughbred pure athletes here. The other half of this group. Right.
It looks like the new breed is coming in. They're doing their mission statement. They're bringing in their fresh, their white slates.
They want to mold these people, right? So,
yes.
And look, Bobby Stevenson, I love the fact that this WWE is like, Gable, we understand you got to go do your senior year, go do that, go win an NCAA championship. You can make your own decision when the time comes, but guess what? Your brother's already working here, right? He's down at developmental, and he's got the nicest. We got to put up in a condo, really sweet. Talk to Bobby. He's really happy right now. Gable.
I think he tweeted at him. He was like, "What are you waiting for?" And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Rob Humphrey, by the way, saying, "Does that mean? Oh wait, no, this is going too fast. Does that mean that you didn't make the cut at your tryout, Nick?" Again, I was not actually trying out. I was just covering the tryouts in Vegas. They did not let me in the ring, and I wouldn't have wanted to be in there. So anyway,
we're all athletes here. Flip Cup champions, baby.
Yeah, I'm a cup stacker myself. Cup stacking. So
with the sound effects too. If you're just listening, that's how fast he was moving. Legit, those were his hands. Whoa.
I know. It's good. Years of IO and the annoyance right there. Susan WWE Raw was last night. What a show. What a show. What a roller coaster of a program. So PW Insider saying there was a lot of switching around of plans at last night's Raw, including where segments would be placed. It was described as a, quote, crazy day backstage at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. Multiple announced matches, including Miz versus Morrison and Lashley versus Sheamus, did not happen. One of the hottest social media topics coming out of this week's show is the rough match between Nia Jax and Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Jax faced Flair in a non-title match later in the show and beat her by pinfall after a power bomb. Kind of seemed like a choke spine buster power bomb, whatever that was. It was
like a Rachel Gonzalez power bomb thingy.
I think you should die bomb. All right. Many fans tweeted about how rough the match was, with some speculating on if the two superstars were shooting on each other. WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley also tweeted a reaction to the bout, just wondering, WTF was up with that Charlotte versus Nia match. So if this was a work, bravo to these women, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Charlotte and Nia were backstage and they said, let's go out there to put a little heat on this and do something where it looks like we're really hurting each other. Bravo. To me, and to, I guess, Mick, and to several others, it didn't look like that, EJ. What did you think as you were watching this thing?
Man, I've watched it so many times.
I watched it 3 or 4 times this morning. I had to go back and watch moment for moment when things were happening. Yes.
You could see little moments, and the whole time, like, I've noticed recently, Charlotte kind of like to mush her opponents and kind of like, mess with them. And you could see it upsetting Nia, just like to a point. And Charlotte seemed like she was like, ha, 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 you're upset. I'm messing with you. Until you could see Nia be like, stop.
Well,
and she starts swinging at her.
Well, yes and no. I think that what happened, because there was like this backdrop or suplex that Nia hit where she basically looked like dropped Charlotte like kind of on the back of her head, right?
Damn near, yeah.
And Charlotte kind of powdered down a little bit, and Nia got in some offense. But as soon as Charlotte got back to her feet, she slapped the shit out of Nia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was on, right? There was a little bit of them trying to work there for a moment, but then like the most uncomfortable like side headlock attempt where it looked like Charlotte was going to try to ground Nia down, and Nia just stood up and then was just staring at Charlotte.
It was after that boot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when it started to like get real. And you know, I don't know what I mean, look, there's a lot of like, so I'll preface this by saying I watched the first hour of Raw late last night, then I watched the other two this morning. So I already knew the Nia Charlotte stuff was coming because I'd seen it on social media. I was very intrigued to see it when it came along. But knowing what happened in the first hour, I watched Nia drop Nikki Ash with that Samoan drop on the outside. And I was like, holy shit, that's a way to break your back right there or pop it. That thing, that looked brutal, right?
Yeah.
Look, Brian Bill's here 14. Nia works very sloppy. A lot of people say that. I haven't been in the ring with her, it does seem like very stiff. It was very compelling to watch. Nia definitely dropped Charlotte with a couple stiff things. Kind of reading into it maybe a little bit more. Charlotte is the champion, and Charlotte's getting this big push, and Nia is kind of looking for a stride, right? And
she's doing the shaking the butt, the Rikishi stuff.
Now, if Nia did drop Charlotte in a way that was dangerous or was painful to Charlotte, it's wrestling, it's not ballet. Stuff happens. I do wonder when Charlotte decided to retaliate purposefully with slaps and stuff to like punish Nia, if that's not what maybe triggered Nia a little bit, She didn't
like the receipt.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Part of me, maybe because it's just like I'm a cynical like carny. Part of me does kind of wonder if this is all a work. I mean, they had Nia on the show afterwards. It just didn't feel like when you have a guy like Mick going out there and saying, man, what is going on out there? Watching him try to, watching Charlotte try to hit her finisher and Nia just muscling her up into that Samoan drop. I wonder legally when a line gets crossed in that situation, right? Like when it stops becoming a show and it starts becoming a fight. I wonder what like the agents are thinking and like Vince, like at what point you intervene? How does management react to a situation like this? I mean, I had so many questions kind of walking out of it,
Yeah, what happens next? Because there was a moment where Charlotte looked like she wanted to punch her back, and she realized, oh, wait, that's Nia Jax. I should probably relax. She was like, all right, look, let's finish this match out a little bit, please. Please sell the knee.
Daniel Price, Nia planted her Vader style on that power bomb. Oh yeah. A. O'Donnell 25. Nia almost killed her. Mick Thomason, another Mick. Nia Jax, Get Raw, women's title match come next. I don't know. I will say this. Now that it's happened like this, I mean, the reason I'm like Carney style up like this is because like how much more are you intrigued to see a match between Charlotte and Nia Jax now? Again.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. That happened with her and Becky. She mistakenly gets herself in such a place that you're like, wait, that was pretty cool. I know it wasn't real. I mean, it wasn't, it's kind of real, but that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and like, again, if if you've seen it work once, I mean, if you're Charlotte and you're like, hey, Nia, let's go out there and you just freaking ragdoll me or whatever. Because I tweeted out, I was like, there was a point in that match where I thought Nia Jax was just going to like slap a chokehold on and like force Charlotte to tap and in this thing. Fortunately, it looked like they got to something I would consider a spot to close the match.
Yeah.
More of a beating, whatever.
They're like, we need one more star rating, baby. One more star for this match.
I wasn't ever uncomfortable watching it, but I was very intrigued. Like the fact that just like, again, Charlotte, 14-time women's champion, thinks she's the best, I'm sure carries herself. I know she carries herself in a way that is, very proud of herself, confident in herself. And you look at a Nia Jax, who's been there for a while now, for one reason or another, has never really had the opportunities maybe that a Charlotte has. Maybe it's because they didn't like her work, or maybe it's because size, look, whatever it may be,
Yeah. Her style. I mean, I feel bad because so many people are like, she's sloppy, she's terrible, she's this. And I wonder if that's part of it too, where they're like, all right, look, we just can't. Or who's gonna beat you? But
I'm surprised we haven't seen anything like come out today about the backstage reaction to that match. I'm sure we will, or we'll have comments about it in time. I kind of asked around politely about it this morning, and like nothing I heard gave me any indication to think that it wasn't legitimate, right? Yeah. And like sounded to me kind of like, maybe something actually went down there last night in that ring. And if it did, I mean, you don't do that to a friend, No. You don't act like that towards somebody you like.
Friendship aside, your job is to protect your dance partner, your opponent. You sign a contract, a social contract as a wrestler that's like, I'm going to take care of you. Even if we have beef, we'll talk about it. Yeah, I might hit you a little snug. Let me know. Say something.
Right.
But I'm not about to be like, all right, I'm just going to pick you up and throw you back down on your head, buddy.
Well, and the other thing is like, especially North American pro wrestling audiences have been like conditioned to, they've been conditioned for a certain kind of match. There's like a pacing. There's a certain style. And what these two did last night was they didn't go by that script or style. The way that they were picking each other up and hitting each other and moving did not look like a choreographed, fight. It looked more genuine, right? And, nobody left bleeding. I mean, I have to imagine Charlotte walking a little stiff today. I mean, even if this was a work, Nia slammed the absolute shit out of Charlotte several times in that match. I mean, just blasted her into that ring. And I don't know, man. Look, if the goal was to get me intrigued, because Nia won, so she's probably going to get a shot at Charlotte's title now, right? She said it on Raw Talk or whatever. If the goal is to get me on the hook for Nia Jax, Charlotte in a wrestling match for the title, I mean, mission accomplished. I mean, mission great. Nobody left bloody. Nobody broke any bones. Just got a little heated there. Very stiff. Everybody's talking about it. Back in the day, this would probably be called a good bit of business. I don't know how it is when there's shareholders involved.
I think it's still good business. And you know what? We're giving Nia a lot of guff, but if you watch a lot of Charlotte's matches, they look a little bit like fights. They get a little ugly. Like they don't always look as clean and choreographed. There's moments she kicked Nikki's head off with a moonsault the other day. Right. There's moments where it looks like a legit fight with her, and she's like, "No, I want to fight this person." And then they get back into the match. So I don't know if this is her style. Maybe it's a Charlotte style of like, here's the song, and in the middle, I'm going to do some jazz. It's going to look like I'm going to hit him with the razzle dazzle. And then we're going to go to the end. So I am intrigued. I would like to see what happens next.
I love Nia Jax, Louis Armstrong style, right?
Hey, you're going to get a Samoan drop.
That was really good.
I keep one in the back pocket.
I'm not against you doing a series of Louis Armstrong commentates pro wrestling matches. That's you could just do the whole WrestleMania from New Orleans to be appropriate. They have Louis Armstrong International Airport down there.
Hey, I mean, you don't want to go to New Orleans right now. Shout out to New Orleans, but
yeah. Thinking of New Orleans. Yeah. By the way, said that Love New Orleans. That's why I brought up your international airport there right now. Man,
Oh,
that was
I
rough
love
over
it.
the weekend. That was rough over the weekend. I hope everybody's all right down there on the coast. That was a big storm.
Yeah.
Well, Antonio Garcia, that is true. The next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules, and they could be working stiff to draw heat for that. Yeah, it just, nothing happens on accident in pro wrestling a lot of the times. Some stuff does, but like the big stuff usually doesn't. And I'll keep my tinfoil hat on until told otherwise, that there was not some kind of, maybe conversation backstage. So,
yeah.
Okay. Couple updates here on some top WWE women that we haven't seen on TV recently. So Alexa Bliss, she missed Raw last night from Oklahoma, leading to concern among fans on social media about her well-being. After Raw went off the air, Bliss provided an update on Twitter, writing, "I'm fine, thank you." Bliss, however, did not comment on whether she'll be back on WWE TV next week. In another tweet, Bliss revealed that she was, in fact, in Oklahoma City for Raw, but couldn't wait to fly back home in Orlando, Florida. The post fueled speculation among fans as to why she missed the show. Of course, on last week's Raw, Bliss confronted Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, indicating that she was going to pursue the Queen's title after defeating Eva Marie at SummerSlam. We heard that there was a lot of craziness backstage creatively. I don't know how you have Alexa Bliss there backstage and don't use her or use her to follow up on whatever was going on with her and Charlotte. Very weird that they just pivoted to Nia Jax randomly.
Yeah, and just like to not acknowledge it at all feels like that didn't happen. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that kind of, I hate to keep going back to the conspiracy, but like if you're kind of being thrown Nia out of nowhere and they're like, go make something happen, you guys are going to do a match at Extreme Rules. And they're like, what's the story here? Right? Yeah. And they're like, we'll figure it out. Well, Nia and Charlotte could say, well, we're going to do something right now that's going to make a whole bunch of noise and make people want to see whatever this match is that you have now thrown at us last second that we did not know what to do with. Right? Yeah. I think get the corkboard out, people. There's thumbtacks and red tape or red string. Connect the dots. All right? Anyway. Apologies.
But then why have Alexa Bliss there and not do anything? Not even have her music play so Nia can win the old, I don't know. That's weird. Maybe. And her tweets make it feel like she was there and wanted to be on. And they were like, we changed our mind. No. I
wonder if they're hearing the kind of backlash to the Bliss storyline and the Lily stuff. I mean, I know that the Lily doll, I guess, sold well or is selling well or whatever. But like it's pretty obvious that fans, like, because Bray's no longer around, people just kind of not generally into it. Maybe they just decided kind of retribution style, like, yeah, maybe we need to rethink what we're doing here and go back to the drawing board, No,
don't even do it like that. If you're going to do that, just let her have an exorcism.
Hey, don't count me out.
That.
No. So let's see. Daniel Price. Oh yeah, Bliss goes missing and Nia gets a clean pin on Charlotte. There was definitely intent behind those moves. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think somebody's drinking the old house Kool-Aid over here. PW Insider saying the hope is that if all goes well, Sasha Banks is going to return to the road for WWE during the weekend of September 10th, which would be the Super SmackDown taping from MSG in New York. It was noted that nothing is 100% until it happens, but the weekend is the current expectation for Banks' return with WWE. It was also said that Banks is not scheduled to return at this week's SmackDown unless there is a last-minute change. We don't really know what is going on with Sasha. I've heard a lot of things. I hope she is good to go here by MSG, but that's all that really can be said about it, I guess, right now. And I don't want to put anything out there that's going to lead to any kind of rampant, I don't know.
Yeah, speculation.
Clickbaity.
Yeah, I hope she is okay. I respect her privacy and whatever she's going through or what's going on. I hope that she's okay and we'll be back.
All right. Friday night was a big night for pro wrestling. There was a huge pro wrestling viewership milestone. This appears to be the first time in history that this past Friday night that pro wrestling has topped cable and network TV in the same night. Showbuzz Daily saying SmackDown ranked number 1 in the ratings for the key 18 to 49 demo over on Fox. And, of course, AEW Rampage ranked number 1 for the night. Cable top 150.34 in the key demo. Actually up. They actually were number 2 last week when Punk debuted. More people tuned in. They were down about 36%. But overall, their percentage of people watching that were in that key demo was higher. So Rampage takes the night on TNT. SmackDown takes the night over on Fox. I mean, really goes to show, I talk about this stuff every day, and I get lost in the weeds with the details and things like that. But when you take a step back right now, EJ, hard to argue that this is not a really wonderful time to be in and around the pro wrestling business. I mean, this is it. This is the top thing on television, EJ.
Absolutely agreed. It feels like we're in another renaissance. And hopefully it'll be better and learn from all the past renaissances and how those ended.
Yeah, okay, fair. But enjoy the moment,
Oh, yeah. No, I'm enjoying it. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. But you know me. It's fun. I enjoy that there's more wrestling to watch and bigger things going on and people are tuning back in and into it again.
Well, and one of the things that I think is compelling about this period that we're moving into here is now that AEW has gone through phase 1, right? Phase 1 is done. We are into whatever phase 2 is going to look like now. I think you could argue CM Punk joining the company is where X new phase. I mean, Moxley, I think, would be part of phase 1, but phase 2, I think, is whatever Punk and this second wave coming in is going to be. Mm-hmm. And now that AEW solidified itself and has its niche, and it is thriving, and it is growing, and it is becoming whatever people consider competition is to WWE, WWE's product inherently becomes more interesting because you start to wonder what WWE is going to do to counter AEW and create more buzz in them. And that's when this whole thing starts to spiral up a la the Monday Night Wars. They don't have to be head-to-head night on the same night, but now you're just seeing or at least one company reacting to another company that, like a horse out of the barn, is just running wild through the field.
Absolutely. I mean, AEW just had Giannis, an NBA champion, in the front row there. He's backstage taking pictures with people and other champions. That's a big deal. So WWE, they got to do something else. They got to give us more than Nia and Charlotte throwing hands.
I get. I mean, look, everybody's talking about Nia and Charlotte throwing hands right now. The only AEW news we really had here today on the show was Adam Cole maybe going to AEW, which is certainly cool, and then like the great Rampage news they had here. But largely today, the news has been about stuff in WWE world. I mean, WWE still generates interest. It is just the landscape is changing. WWE decidedly in the camp of families, AEW going for drunk older brother. And that's fine, okay? They're just different things. And watching these two entities start to play off of each other, maybe other entities kind of in the wings that could be entering the fray or growing in the fray, it's just a very fertile time for pro wrestling at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So let's make some more wrestling babies.
Yeah, let's do it. Wrestle Babies, everybody. WrestleBabies.com. That'd be a good dating site for wrestling fans. Meet the person you could make wrestle babies with.
Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah. By the way, I like Dave in here seeing my phases through. Phase 3, WWE sells to Disney. Phase 4, WWE land at Disney California Adventures. Phase 5, AEW buys Disney.
Oh wow. Remember those comments, y'all.
All right. 2 quick news items here before we get to Kurt Angle. Then we're going to dive in the mailbag. We're going to talk about heel Keith Lee. Fightful saying AC Romero has requested his release for Impact Wrestling. Romero has not been used since April in Impact. He nearly faced hospitalization due to COVID-19 in early May. He's said to be healthy right now and has wrestled for Limitless Wrestling in the last few weeks. Interesting to here, right? Impact is weird, right? Like, they have this great relationship with AEW. You would think you would want to stay with Impact. What's going on there that makes you want to leave? That's a question I'd love to find out from AC. But also, if he's not released, these stories, especially with Impact, do not usually go in your favor, right? Like Impact has a real bad history of taking people that are not happy in their spot and wanting to leave. And this isn't just Impact. It seems to be a problem everywhere in pro wrestling, kind of like the Max Caster situation, and not letting talent go out of their contract that are unhappy and that you don't really want to work with, and they don't really want to work with you, right? It's a sad problem, especially for independent contractors. I hope that AC does get his release, but now that this is out there and management knows that he's unhappy, I do worry that AC is going to maybe get caught in whatever his contract limbo may be, and this is where you start to lose momentum in pro wrestling. It sucks. I wish promoters didn't act this way. It's a real shitty, carny piece of shit thing to do.
Yeah, they did. That's all ego, dude. That's your ego to see that someone's unhappy and they want to leave. You go, oh yeah, well, I'm going to keep you, so you're more unhappy. That's abusive and crazy.
Yeah, yeah. There's a old saying in pro wrestling amongst carny promoters that if you really don't like somebody, you don't fire them. You starve them out because wrestling promoters are psychopaths. So some of them. All right. Former ECW World Television Champion, WCW United States Champion, and WWE Cruiserweight Champion, Yoshihiro Tajiri is headed to MLW. MLW released a new video on Monday night announcing the Japanese buzzsaw is going to make his debut for the company at their Fightland TV tapings on Sunday, October 2nd at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. And I'm a huge Tajiri fan. I am so excited to hear he's going to be on Vice, right? Like, we're going to be able to actually watch Tajiri have matches with people like Tom Lawler and the Von Erichs. I great get here by MLW getting Tajiri in the door.
Absolutely, a complete legend. My main question, is he going to do the Poison Mist? Is that kosher these days?
Oh, because of COVID. Oh, I guess he can't, can he? Or he could. Oh.
See, that's what I'm wondering.
Maybe the counter is you wear a mask now, right? Like you see him coming.
You have different colored masks because your face is just like mist.
All right, EJ, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me here today. It's been a blast. We started the show talking bagels. Emily Zozo here saying onion bagels go great with anything, except my breath. So, not my taste. Sadly. And of course, thank you to Kurt Angle. Kurt, you're a legend, Hall of Famer. Always appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we'll have you back here sooner than later to talk. Whatever else is on your mind, go check out his sneakers, everybody. All right. Today's mailbag question comes to us from @WinkDaily, WINC Daily. That is the account to follow over on Twitter. Currently, we have 1,221 followers. We're on our way to 1,300 followers right now. That's a very special number to me. So go follow us right now, and you will be supporting Wrestling Inc. @WinkDaily, WINC. So today's poll question, who would you most like to see a heel Keith Lee feud with when he returns to WWE Raw? And this question stems from the following report. Actually, it's two reports. The Observer saying Keith Lee is being brought to Raw and SmackDown for dark matches because officials are trying to change his style and give him a new character. They also want him to practice more in front of fans, and it's been reported how Lee has played the role of a heel in some of his recent dark matches. WrestlingNews.co saying regarding the aforementioned character change, WWE Chairman CEO Vince McMahon has considered turning Lee into a, quote, monster heel for the main roster. Lee continues to get babyface reactions during his dark matches, but it looks like he could be booked as a heel when he returns to TV. First, before we get to the results, what are your thoughts on this particular story, EJ?
I think everybody likes Lee. I think everybody wants him to be a face. We've known him as a face. He's such a nice, charming man. Like, you believe it. Seeing him even when I've seen him angry as a face, he still feels like a good guy. So it's justified. Him being, I'm not saying he can't. It's going to be interesting, especially with all the shuffling and wishy-washy things we've seen with him and health-related reasons and where we've seen him, outfits changing, music changing. I think it's another scoop of change that people are probably going to be like, about?
I just don't understand it. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Becky Lynch's heel turn doesn't make any sense to me, right? It kind of sounds like Becky wanted to do it. Like she wants to kind of maybe try to pull a Roman Reigns or test herself or whatever it is. But why mess with success? Like the Becky Lynch train is rolling and, you sell a lot of merchandise. Keith Lee goes out and he puts this beautiful, heartfelt video on the internet talking about his health and how his wife was by his side and got COVID and missed the Rumble just to take care of him, and so much inherent goodwill. I mean, if this was the UFC, because, get this, the UFC, they just tell the stories of the performers to build the fights, and then they let the performers, hype the fights.
Yeah.
Right? This would be, the Dana White would be all over this like a pack of dogs on a three-legged cat. He'd be like, we gotta package this thing up. We got to get it out there. People need to know Keith Lee. And good or bad, he's a compelling character. We'll see if he can get his ass kicked in the ring or not. Trying to reinvent the wheel here with Keith Lee. I wonder, I do wonder, like, does Vince, at his age right now, is he more concerned with just trying to prove that he can do things, regardless of if they're good or bad, just because, like, he's just bored, because he's bored? I don't really know. I can't wrap my head around it.
It's like, instead of asking if he should do it, he's like, no, I'm going to do it. Definitely going to do it. Watch me do this. It's like, we know you can, but should you? Like, it's okay. What is he going for? I've always got it, and we talked about this, I've always got a Dusty Rhodes vibe from Keith Lee.
Yeah, totally. So I asked everybody, let's say Keith Lee does come back as a heel. Who do you want to see him feud with over on Raw? I listed 3 baby faces from Raw. Drew McIntyre, Johnny Drip Drip, Damian Priest, and then something else, some kind of other. We have over 300 votes here, almost a tie. 41.9% for Drew, 41.6% for Damian Priest, only 11.6% for Johnny Drip Drip, 5% for somebody else. We got a couple write-ins here. So let's say a heel Keith Lee comes back. That's what they want to do. Who do you think could most work best as a baby versus a menacing heel Keith Lee? Who do you think could make it work, EJ?
Drew McIntyre was my first gut vote.
You think so?
Yeah, just from when we were there, how over he is with the crowd. He comes out, everybody loves him and eats him up. I think Keith Lee would be he'd be a good enough good guy to go against Keith Lee to make Keith Lee look really like a bad guy. And man, just seeing those 2 big old men just beating on each other. Yeah, they're gonna have a very strong physical match. That's what I would go for. What about you? Who you voting for?
My choice got the lowest of the votes. I voted Johnny Drip Drip. And I honestly think that if they wanted to try to do Keith Lee as a heel, you had an opening last night you could have actually maybe done it with. And maybe you still can. You had Johnny Drip Drip in the back saying, Miz isn't here. I'm not going to get my... Everybody loves Johnny Drip. Everybody loves... There's nobody that dislikes John Morrison right now. Everybody loves Johnny Drip Drip. And Johnny Drip Drip says he wants to face the biggest guy in the back, and he winds up with Omos. And look, I love an Omos match. I thought it was great. I thought Omos beating Morrison was the right call, even if it was set up a little wonky to make Morrison look dumb. But he's a dumb wrestler. Like, that's his whole thing. He's a dumb body guy, okay?
Yeah.
Keith Lee being the guy straight-faced, saying, I am tired of being overlooked. You want to face a big man, I'll fight you. And having Keith Lee just dominate and ragdoll a Johnny Drip Drip, I think he'd have got heat on that. I really do. I think that, McIntyre, I think you put Keith Lee in there with McIntyre. I think there are people that would lean Keith Lee. I think there are people that see McIntyre as already kind of ordained. I think you put Keith Lee in there with a Damian Priest. Damian Priest isn't like there quite yet. I mean, he's definitely very over. The fans really like Damian Priest, but you put him up against Keith Lee, I think people might lean Keith Lee. You put Keith Lee in a situation with a Johnny Drip Drip, and you make people say, I dare you to boo Johnny Drip Drip. They're not going to do that. They're going to boo whoever beats the shit out of Johnny Drip Drip. And I watched that Omos segment play out last night, kind of thinking about this. And I was like, I kind of wish Keith Lee was in this spot right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's my overthought thought. It's my overthought thought.
well, thank you.
Nikki thoughts.
Spoken to Nikki thoughts.
All right. Let's read some comments here. If you got anything to say, jump in right now in the comment section. I'm going to read your feedback to the heel Keith Lee discussion. So, Kyle Leith, anybody that WWE lets him win the feud with, that's simple. I don't know that that's going to make him a heel. At 6rings9880, Umberto every week on Raw for 51 weeks, and then Mansoor. At Bing94, AJ Styles. AJ's already a heel, though. Like, Keith Lee would get cheered next to an AJ Styles. I did think with, like, as over as Riddle is right now, Keith Lee could maybe work with a Riddle, but Riddle's in the tag division at the moment. It wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know?
And they do have, like, a classic feud. They have a history in the indies.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I think, somebody to think about. Rob Humphrey, no one wants to boo Keith Lee. Emily Zozo, Keith Lee should wear a Bane mask.
What?
I think that's a callback to Retribution. You know what? You want to get him over on the main roster? Make him a domestic terrorist.
Him and Mia Yim together.
That's right. She's already in. She brainwashed him, right? All right. We have King Rail put Lee with Vega. I don't hate it. I don't know why. I don't know why that or how that would happen. She's over on SmackDown. And then Rick Plott. They need to put the title on Lee in time. I want to see Lee sink his teeth into it. If they're gonna turn, you could turn anybody heel, like theoretically. And is it a test on their part to see if he could do it? Is it because Vince just feels they don't have any monster heels, which is maybe a fair point. Maybe Vince sees something, silver lining here. Maybe Vince sees something in Keith that we don't see that is there for him as a monster heel, right? It just seems like that the way Vince is thinking is very 80s, 90s. And I actually kind of had to wrestle with this recently, thinking about the way kind of I and others that I'm working with engage fans in social media, Gen Z and things like that. You have to be a lot more open to engagement than before. It's just the way things have moved. You have to be willing to get out there and engage people, and you have to be open to letting people engage you. And if you are sitting there isolated, telling people what they want or should want, you've lost the battle. You've lost.
Yeah.
That's not how it works anymore. It worked in the 90s and the 80s because communication wasn't what it is now, where everybody could share their thoughts and everybody can engage each other. Back then, you were kind of sitting at home. You had a couple maybe wrestling friends. You didn't know if your opinions were those of everybody else. And so you were just kind of left to draw your own conclusions about what you were watching by and large on TV. It's a very different game now. And if you're not listening and if you're not allowing others to listen to, or if you're not listening and the audience doesn't want to listen to you, you've already lost the battle. You can't be telling people anymore what they should and shouldn't want to like. You should be listening to them about what they do and do not like.
Yeah. The whole point is a symbiotic relationship. You have to listen to them. You can't just go out there and speak and not engage with them. The whole thing that made Stone Cold and The Rock and those people the greats was because they engaged with the audience. They listened and responded. Now it's just like, we hear you, but we're still going to keep doing this.
And I know we got to wrap up here just saying it because the Kurt Angle interview is about to debut over on the wrestling YouTube channel. But, I back in the Attitude Era and stuff, the litmus test was the audience, right? Like if you saw a whole bunch of people react to something, that's kind of what you ran with. And I wonder if that's still kind of the barometer, the metric for them, right? Which is a little odd because the audience reaction is so much larger now, right? The audience goes beyond the walls of the stadium, and it now you can hear and see and feel the reaction of so many more people, and at the same time, maybe you're not getting those reactions like you did in the 90s to get that barometer because your product's gotten too safe, right? Yeah. You're not allowing people to break out and get those natural reactions. So anyway, this is a long-winded conversation. We can do this tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. Brian will be back. EJ, you're wonderful. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today. Thank you to Kurt Angle. I'll be back tomorrow, like I said, with Brian Wool. Also tomorrow, we're going to dive back into my archives from the trip to Vegas. We're finally going to play the full audio from the Samoa Joe scrum that I was a part of. here to talk about kind of the future direction of NXT and the Performance Center. It was taped just like 48 hours before he won the NXT title. So real interesting conversation. I can't wait to bring you Samoa Joe here tomorrow. And if you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all the socials. And, of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast is a lot like this show, just different faces at night, doing punditry, responding to your comments right here on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. So come back, check that out, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And I'll throw in real quick as well, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday All Out. I'll be at all the shows this week and doing our best to send you back coverage of everything that's going down here in Chicago in regards to AEW. EJ, what do you want to plug put over here to wrap up the show today?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a follow on Twitter at EJ_Cam19. Also, there's a lot of links and ways to support people and hurricane victims. I don't have the time or the list right now, but if you reach out to me, I can give you a list of places and organizations. So if not, or go research and go help if you can.
Yeah, it really is. That's great. Yeah, it's really needed right now. I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I know how hard these, big storms can affect communities, and all the help that you can send down to the coast right now to people suffering from Hurricane Ida is very, very helpful. And of course, you can help your own community as we all are weathering a tough time right now just by taking care of yourself. Obviously, vaccinations are available. Masks are your friend, right? And so is distance, for that matter. So there's a lot of craziness right now in the world, and we can all get through this together if we row the boat in the same direction. So let's try to do that, everybody. I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.